think everybody that knows Sean Carter knows that he will slump anyone in any relationship for $1. Look at how he did Dame. Like, I don't give a f if you wanted to get away from your homie, if you wanted to get away from your partner, but to do it the way he did it, it's malicious. But maybe that was because he was the girl that didn't want you.
Boy Carter, Beyonce.
Monster. And I've known he's a monster for years.
Mm-hmm.
I waited a long time to see if he would grow a conscience. And the more he pumps down his wife's throat to keep her in a cat.
No, girl.
I tell you this right now. Y'all talking about free Britney. Y'all need to be doing a campaign that say free Beyonce.
The Beyonce is free.
She is a prisoner in a gilded cage.
Oh, if Beyonce is in prison, she is in one of the most expensive prisons ever.
Yes, she is. And she's watched 24 hours a day. She's not allowed to make a choice for herself. Not at all. Not in any way.
Oh.
People think she has an amazing life. She is told what to say. She is told what to eat. She is told what to drink. She is told what to wear.
By whom?
She is not her husband's wife. She is his employee. It's a business arrangement.
Dame Dash just threw a bomb into the Carter empire. And y'all, it's messy. After years of whisper campaigns and fan theories, Dame is finally saying out loud what the internet has been speculating for over a decade. Beyoncé and her longtime bodyguard Julius weren't just working together. They were allegedly a lot closer than anyone realized. And the plot twist? Julius's own wife apparently knew all along. This isn't just harmless gossip anymore. It's decades of rumors suddenly colliding with fresh receipts, old blind items, and lyrics that might have been confessions hiding in plain sight. So the real question is, did Beyoncé quietly get her revenge on Jay-Z while the world thought their marriage was untouchable? Dame Dash just lit the match on a rumor that's been smoldering for decades, and the internet is already catching fire. For years, whispers have followed Beyoncé and her longtime bodyguard, Julius. Fans swore their chemistry was too real, too natural, and way too intimate for it to just be a professional relationship. But until now, it's all been speculation, blind items, and side-eye from the beehive. Now Dame Dash, the same Dame who knows Jay-Z better than almost anyone, has stepped forward and said the quiet part out loud. Beyoncé and Julius weren't just working together. They were allegedly having an affair. And this isn't just some throwaway comment. Dame is putting his own name on a claim that cracks open the perfect Carter marriage and makes us all wonder. Was Jay-Z the only one stepping out, or did Beyoncé quietly play her own game of revenge? Because let's not forget, every time the world dragged Jay-Z for cheating, Beyoncé stood tall, looking flawless, keeping her dignity, dropping lemonade like a cultural nuke. But what if all along she had her own secret, hiding in plain sight, and the man standing beside her wasn't her husband? It was Julius. Think about it. If this is true, then we've all been watching a love triangle unfold right under our noses for nearly 2 decades. And the plot twist? Julius's wife apparently knew. She stayed silent, watching her marriage crumble while protecting the biggest secret in the music industry. That alone takes this story from gossip to something much bigger. So here's the question everyone is asking. How far did it really go? Was Julius just Beyoncé's emotional shield, the man she could rely on when Jay-Z betrayed her? Or was he her true partner all along? Did she leave little breadcrumbs in her music, songs that sounded like metaphors but were really confessions? When she sang about secrets whispered in the back seat, was she really talking about her bodyguard? Because Dame Dash isn't telling us something brand new. He's confirming something fans have been side-eyeing since the late 2000s. This isn't wild speculation anymore. This is decades of subtle hints, old blind items, lipstick-stained whispers, and fan theories that suddenly look a lot less crazy now that someone close to Jay-Z is saying it out loud. So the real bombshell isn't just that Beyoncé might have cheated. It's that the world's most carefully protected, most obsessively polished marriage, the one we were all told was the gold standard of black love, empire building, and generational wealth, might have been a facade the whole time. And if that's true, then every picture, every song, every scandal suddenly has a whole new meaning. To really understand why Dame Dash is coming out with this bombshell now, you have to go back, way back, to the golden age of Rockefeller Records. Once upon a time, Dame Dash and Jay-Z weren't enemies. They were brothers in business, co-founders of one of the most iconic hip-hop labels in history. Together, they built an empire, signed legendary acts, and made Rockefeller a movement that defined an era. But like every great empire, it didn't just collapse on its own. It was betrayed from within. And if you ask Dame Dash, that betrayal has Jay-Z's fingerprints all over it. According to him, Jay didn't just want success, he wanted it all. The money, the fame, the women, and the control. And one of the deepest cracks in their friendship came from a woman both men were connected to, Aaliyah. Now, fans know this part of the story is messy. Dame Dash has long claimed that Aaliyah was the love of his life, the woman who chose him over Jay-Z. But that choice allegedly left Jay-Z seething with jealousy. Jaguar Wright even went on record saying that Jay-Z's bitterness over losing Aaliyah to Dame was one of the sparks that lit their feud. She alleged Jay-Z couldn't handle being second best, and in the end, that jealousy pushed him to pull the ultimate betrayal, selling Rockefeller right out from under Dame. Think about how cold that move was. 1 minute, these two are business partners and supposed family. The next minute, Jay-Z strikes a deal that leaves Dame with nothing but crumbs. People who were around at the time said it wasn't just business. It was malicious. It was personal. It was payback. And Dame Dash? He never recovered. After Rockefeller slipped away, his fortune dwindled, his influence faded, and he went from being a mogul to being painted as the broke boy who never let go of the past. Meanwhile, Jay-Z reinvented himself as a billionaire, married Beyoncé, and crafted an image of untouchable black excellence. But here's the thing Dame never forgot. The betrayal, the humiliation, the jealousy over Aaliyah, it all festered. And over the years, he's taken shot after shot at Jay-Z and Beyoncé, throwing shade, dropping rumors, and reminding anyone who would listen that the Carters aren't as perfect as they want us to believe. So when Dame Dash steps forward now to confirm whispers about Beyoncé and Julius, it's not just random gossip. This is his revenge. This is his way of dragging Jay-Z back down, of reminding the world that the man who built a billion-dollar empire did it by cutting throats and stepping on the very people who once had his back. For Dame, this isn't just spilling tea, it's personal justice. He lost Rockefeller. He lost Aaliyah. He lost the empire he helped build. And in his eyes, all roads lead back to Jay-Z. So if confirming this affair humiliates Jay-Z, if it cracks the Carter brand just enough to shake their empire, then Dame finally gets what he's been chasing for years, payback. If Dame Dash's claim cracked the door open, Julius is the reason people can't stop peeking inside. Because let's be honest, this isn't just any bodyguard. Julius DeBoer has been at Beyoncé's side for nearly 2 decades, and in that time, he's gone from background security to something much bigger. His presence is so constant, so unshakable, that fans have often wondered, is Julius simply protecting Beyoncé, or is he protecting something much deeper? The most infamous moment came in 2014, during what's now known as the elevator incident. Everyone remembers it. Grainy security footage leaked to TMZ, showing Solange Knowles attacking Jay-Z inside an elevator while Beyoncé stood silently between them. But in the chaos, one detail stood out. Julius was there. He didn't just play the role of a bodyguard. He played the role of Beyoncé's anchor. While Jay-Z took the hits and Solange threw kicks, Julius focused on one thing: shielding Beyoncé. He held Solange back, positioned his body to protect Beyoncé's space, and made sure not even the slightest harm could come her way. And that's when the whispers got louder. fans started pointing out that Julius wasn't just doing his job. He was dedicated to Beyoncé in a way that went beyond duty. The way he looked at her, the way his energy always orbited around her. It gave people the impression that this wasn't just business. But the elevator was just the beginning. Julius's closeness to Beyoncé has shown up in some of the most private, intimate chapters of her life. When Beyoncé gave birth, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, Julius was there. Not outside the hospital room, not stationed down the hall, inside the delivery room itself. Think about that. Beyoncé and Jay-Z reportedly paid over $1 million to secure entire hospital floors for privacy, locking down entrances and exits to keep even the tiniest detail from leaking. And yet, in that sacred, vulnerable moment, with no visible threat, Julius was in the room. By Beyoncé's side, that alone raised eyebrows. Why would a bodyguard be allowed such access unless his bond with Beyoncé was far deeper than just professional? For years, fans have dissected the photos, the footage, the little background moments where Julius always seems to be right there, helping her into cars, holding her at concerts, adjusting her outfits, shielding her from paparazzi. At times, the connection between them looked more like a partner's devotion than an employee's duty. And Jay-Z noticed. Reports have claimed that Jay grew suspicious of Julius long ago. In fact, rumor has it he even tried to fire him at one point, convinced that Beyoncé and Julius were more than just singer and security. But Beyoncé wasn't having it. Allegedly, she put her foot down and said Julius wasn't going anywhere. And she meant it because Julius is still here, still by her side, long after most bodyguards would have cycled out of her orbit. That loyalty has only fueled the speculation. How many men would fight to keep their bodyguard around if it were just business? How many wives would insist on keeping a man close if there wasn't something more? And if Julius really was nothing more than an employee, why has he lasted longer than most of Beyoncé's friendships, collaborators, and even family allies? Every time fans revisit the elevator footage, every time they see Julius standing silently in the background of Beyoncé's appearance, they ask the same question. Is this just the world's most loyal bodyguard, or the one man Beyoncé has truly trusted all along? If the whispers about Beyoncé and Julius sound far-fetched, the so-called receipts are what keep this rumor alive. Because over the years, little clues, some subtle, some loud, have popped up again and again, fueling the theory that this was more than just a working relationship. Let's start with the infamous red lipstick incident. The story goes that Jay-Z once confronted Beyoncé after spotting a suspicious smear of red lipstick on Julius's mouth. Now, Julius isn't exactly known for rocking bold makeup looks, so the obvious question was, how did it get there? The rumor is that Jay-Z pressed Beyoncé about it, accusing her of crossing the line. But instead of panic, Beyoncé allegedly laughed it off, brushing it aside as nothing. And that reaction, calm, cool, almost mocking, made the rumor stick even harder. If it was nothing, why not fire Julius on the spot? Why let the speculation linger? Then, of course, there's the music. Beyoncé's art has always been personal, layered with double meanings and hidden references. And fans swear one track in particular feels like a love letter to Julius, Bodyguard. On the surface, it plays like a classic R&B romance, but the lyrics are what made people raise their eyebrows. Lines about being protected, feeling safe in someone's arms, and trusting them with her life. Who else fits that description in Beyoncé's real life but Julius? Fans dissected it line by line, convinced she was blurring the line between metaphor and reality. Was Beyoncé confessing her feelings through music the way she's done with Jay-Z on Lemonade and 444? Or was this her sly way of hiding the truth in plain sight? And it's not just fans spinning theories. For years, anonymous blind items have hinted at Beyoncé being romantically linked to a longtime employee who traveled everywhere with her, even in situations where other staff were kept at a distance. Some blinds even described the man as tall, European, and stoic, a description that fits Julius perfectly. Every time one of these blinds dropped, the Bayhive would swarm online, piecing together the puzzle. Even when outlets refused to name names, Everyone seemed to know who they were really talking about. What's wild is that the Beehive may have clocked this before anyone else dared to admit it. Long before Dame Dash threw fuel on the fire, hardcore Beyoncé stans were already compiling threads, comparing photos, and pointing out how Beyoncé's body language around Julius seemed different than it did with anyone else. They noticed the soft smiles, the casual touches, the way she leaned into him in tense moments. These weren't just fan theories. They were cataloged observations that, over time, began to paint a picture the mainstream media was too scared to say out loud. Put all of that together, the lipstick, the lyrics, the blinds, the fan detective work, and suddenly this doesn't feel like random gossip. It feels like a trail of red flags that's been waving for years, ignored by most, but always visible to the people paying closest attention. So the question becomes, were the signs always there, hiding in plain sight, and Dame Dash is just the first insider bold enough to say it out loud? The affair rumors with Julius are shocking enough on their own, but if you zoom out, they point to something even bigger. The possibility that Beyoncé's marriage to Jay-Z was never truly built on love in the first place. For years, blind items have whispered the same thing. That Beyoncé, America's golden girl, didn't want the marriage. Not like that. The story goes that she felt cornered, that her image and her career were tied to Jay-Z in a way that left her with no real choice but to say yes. Anonymous tips on gossip sites painted Beyoncé as a woman who admired Jay-Z's business mind, but never felt that burning, soul-deep connection. Instead, the relationship was described as a brand partnership, a carefully curated power couple image designed to elevate them both into untouchable icons. To the outside world, they were black royalty. Behind closed doors, some say it was less about love and more about contracts, control, and optics. And this is where the voices of insiders like Uncle Ron and Jaguar come into play. Uncle Ron, who claimed to be a former bodyguard in Beyoncé's circle, flat out said that Jay-Z controlled every aspect of her life, from her career moves to her personal decisions. According to him, Beyoncé was molded into a role she didn't fully choose, with Jay-Z pulling the strings. Jaguar Wright, another industry whistleblower, echoed those claims, painting Jay-Z as a manipulator who orchestrated not only Rockefeller's downfall, but also Beyoncé's path into a life she never wanted. Then there's Beyoncé's own mother, Tina Knowles. Whispers in the industry suggest that Tina played a major role in pushing Beyoncé into the marriage. Allegedly, Tina believed that tying her daughter to Jay-Z would cement Beyoncé's legacy and shield her from the fickleness of fame. Love wasn't the priority, legacy was. The Carters, as a unit, projected power, money, and stability, even if the personal foundation behind it was shaky. For Tina, the marriage wasn't about romance. It was about building an image so strong it could never be broken. And if that's true, then everything clicks into place. Beyoncé's silence in the elevator, her obsession with control over her public narrative, the carefully crafted joint albums, the way every scandal somehow gets flipped into art. It all feels less like spontaneous real life and more like a business strategy, a partnership, a performance. So if Dame Dash is right and Beyoncé really did find comfort in Julius, maybe that wasn't just cheating. Maybe it was Beyoncé grasping for something real in a marriage that was never truly hers to begin with. Maybe Julius wasn't just her bodyguard. Maybe he was her escape. And here's the irony. The marriage that was supposed to make Beyoncé untouchable might be the very thing keeping her trapped. Because if these rumors are true, breaking away from Jay-Z doesn't just risk a divorce. It risks dismantling the entire Carter empire, the billion-dollar brand her mother, her husband, and the industry itself built on her back. Here's where things get even messier. Because if Julius really is at the center of this decades-long rumor, the question becomes, why hasn't he ever spoken? Let's be real. In today's world, everyone has a price. A bodyguard with 2 decades of front-row access to Beyoncé and Jay-Z could make millions selling just a fraction of what he's seen. And don't think the offers haven't come. Industry insiders swear that Julius has been approached more times than anyone can count. Tabloids, book publishers, streaming platforms, all waving 7-figure checks in his face. A tell-all from Julius would be the crown jewel of celebrity scandals, bigger than anything Britney's dad, K-Fed, or even Kim and Kanye ever put out. But here's the kicker. He's never taken a dime. Not one word, not one interview, not one exclusive source leaking behind his back. For over 20 years, Julius has remained silent. That level of loyalty in an industry where everybody talks, it's unheard of. And that's exactly why fans believe the affair rumors more, not less. Because think about it. If Julius had nothing to hide, wouldn't it be easy to deny? He could shut this down in a second, laugh it off, say no, I'm just her employee and move on. But instead, he says nothing. He stays quiet. He stays close to Beyoncé. And silence, in a scandal this big, often speaks louder than words. Even more suspicious, Beyoncé herself has never put distance between them. When Jay-Z was accused of cheating, she wrote entire albums about betrayal, pain, and reconciliation. But when it comes to Julius, nothing. Not one lyric. Not one denial. Not even a stage photo to prove there's nothing going on. The loyalty flows both ways. Beyoncé protects him, and he protects her. And that bond has done something wild. It's made fans trust him more than Jay-Z. In the core of public opinion, Julius is the one constant. The shadow who never left, the man who never sold her out, the silent protector who stood by her through every scandal. Meanwhile, Jay-Z has had his reputation dragged through the mud over infidelity, business betrayals, and questionable power plays. To many in the Bayhive, Julius feels more trustworthy than the billionaire husband. Which brings us back to the affair rumors. Julius's unshakable loyalty is the very reason people find them believable. Because if there really was something between him and Beyoncé, of course he'd never speak. Of course he'd never sell her out. Of course he'd take those offers, tear them up, and throw them away. That kind of ride-or-die silence isn't normal. It's not professional. It's personal. And that's why, for many fans, the biggest red flag isn't what Julius has said, it's what he hasn't. If Dame Dash's bombshell wasn't enough, here's where the story takes a shocking turn. The ex-wife. Because according to Dame, Julius wasn't the only one who knew what was really going on. His wife at the time allegedly knew too, and that knowledge may have played a direct role in their divorce. Think about the timing. Julius started working with Beyoncé in the mid-2000s, right as her solo career was exploding and her image was being carefully crafted into superstardom. Around the same time, Julius's marriage quietly unraveled. No messy public scandal, no tabloid frenzy, just a quiet separation that lined up almost perfectly with him stepping into Beyoncé's orbit full-time. Coincidence? Maybe. But Dame Dash says otherwise. He claims the ex-wife knew. She knew the connection between Julius and Beyoncé wasn't just professional, and she couldn't sit by and watch her husband dedicate his life to another woman. The whispers suggest that what looked like a career opportunity from the outside was actually the breaking point on the inside. And here's where it gets even juicier. The ex-wife has stayed silent. For nearly 2 decades, she said nothing publicly about Julius, Beyoncé, or the rumors that swirled around their divorce. But in 2025, with Dame Dash reviving the conversation and the Carter empire showing its first cracks in years, people are wondering, could she finally speak? Imagine it. One interview, one tell-all, one Instagram post confirming what's been whispered for years. If Julius's ex-wife came forward and said, "Yes, I knew. Yes, the affair was real. Yes, that's why my marriage ended," it would be devastating. Not just for Beyoncé and Jay-Z, but for the billion-dollar brand they've built on the illusion of loyalty, trust, and black love excellence. And the silence itself is suspicious. Because in the world of celebrity gossip, exes usually talk. They cash in. They get messy. They tell their side. But Julius's ex-wife? She hasn't said a word. Which makes you wonder, has she been pressured to stay quiet? Has she been paid off? Or is she just waiting for the right moment, the perfect storm, to finally break her silence and flip the narrative upside down? If that happens, the Carter machine won't be able to spin it into music, into art, into another chapter of On the Run. This wouldn't be a carefully curated confession. It would be an uncontrolled truth bomb from someone who lived it firsthand. And that's why Dame's claim about the ex-wife matters. Because it takes the rumor from speculation to something much scarier for the Carters, a potential witness. Someone with motive, with memory, with receipts. Someone who could crack the story wide open. So the real question is, will she keep protecting Julius the way he's protected Beyoncé? Or is the world one headline away from the Carter Empire's biggest collapse yet? For Jay-Z, the humiliation would be brutal. This is the same man who was dragged through the mud after his own cheating scandals. The same man who had to publicly eat his pride, while Beyoncé turned her pain into lemonade and fans turned his name into a meme. Back then, Beyoncé's dignity was the shield. She was the wronged wife, the queen who endured betrayal and came out stronger. But if the Julius rumors are true, suddenly, Jay-Z isn't just the cheater. He's the one who got played. Imagine the optics. The billionaire mogul, the master chess player of hip-hop, outmaneuvered by his wife and her bodyguard. For Jay, that's not just personal humiliation. That's empire-shaking embarrassment. For Beyoncé, the cracks in her image are even scarier. For 2 decades, she has sold perfection, discipline, control. The idea that nothing in her life is messy, nothing slips through the cracks, nothing happens without her permission. But this rumor chips away at that illusion. It paints her as human, flawed, vulnerable. And while fans love Beyoncé, they also worship the myth of Beyoncé, the goddess above it all. If that myth collapses, what happens to the brand she's built? And then, of course, there's the Beehive. No fan base in the world protects their queen like Beyoncé's army. Some will dismiss this as lies, as Dame Dash clout chasing, as haters trying to tarnish her name. But others? They're already whispering. They've seen the lipstick rumors, the Bodyguard lyrics, the blind items, the elevator footage. They're connecting dots. And if the Beehive starts to believe, even just a little, the internet will go into overdrive. Think TikTok breakdowns, Twitter threads, Reddit conspiracies. Beyoncé has survived scandals before, but this one is different. It doesn't make her the victim. It makes her the one with the secret. And that's the cliffhanger no one can ignore. Because if this is true, if Beyoncé really found her freedom, her safety, her love with Julius, then maybe this isn't just another messy rumor. Maybe this is the beginning of Beyoncé's liberation story. Maybe the flawless queen has been waiting for her own escape plan all along. Or maybe, just maybe, this is all part of the Carter business empire. A brand so calculated, so bulletproof, that even scandal becomes strategy. Either way, one thing is certain. The story of Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and Julius is far from over. And the world is watching to see if the cracks in perfection finally give way to the truth.